Tonight, the Carolina Hurricanes are ending their 6-game road stretch in Detroit against the Red Wings. Find out how the Hurricanes can come away with yet another road win in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you are listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Tuesday afternoon. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes and myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96 and subscribe to the show on YouTube. And in this episode, we will be previewing tonight's game against the Detroit Red Wings. Like I said, this is the final game of a 6-game road stretch. As we've talked about, a lot of these games have been pretty spread out, which is crazy. But the Hurricanes, they have been really, really good on the road as of late. We touched on that yesterday of just how consistent they've been on the road, getting 9 of 10 possible points in the last 5 road games, going 4-0-1. And then even going back farther than that, earning points in their last 9 road games, getting at least 1 point, going 5-0-4, dating back to the 14th of November. I couldn't read my own handwriting there for a second, but they've been extremely consistent on the road, which is something that is going to have to carry over into tonight's game. And both of these teams are fairly well rested. Obviously, they're professional athletes, so they're always going to be a little sore and whatnot. But both of these teams haven't played since Saturday. Obviously, the Hurricanes shutting out the Islanders, and the Red Wings losing in overtime to the Stars. And one thing that heading into this game you can expect that I misspoke on yesterday because it ended up coming out shortly after I got done recording, that they're probably going to be going 11-7 again tonight against Detroit. Yesterday, it was looking like, okay, maybe we could see Jesper Fast in this game against Detroit. But now it's looking like they will be going 11-7 again. Maybe we see Jesper Fast, maybe we don't. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But it's looking like we're going to be going 11-7 again. And I know, obviously, that's going to raise a lot of concerns. And, again, like we mentioned prior to the New York game and after that, historically, Hurricanes are not good when they go 11-7. But, they were able to get that win against New York. And that is going to be something that they need to continue doing in this game tonight, especially if they go 11 forwards, 7 defensemen again. And, they, in that game against New York, they played a great team game. Guys stepped up to the plate. Guys that you expect to step up, stepped up. And that's something that they need to continue tonight and really just going forward in general, but especially if you're going to be playing without several key pieces like Sebastian Aho, Jesper Fast, and then you're still out Frederick Anderson, Andre Kasha, and the list goes on of guys that you're missing right now. You need that full team game. And, that's something we'll talk about more in the keys to the game, but the Hurricanes have momentum on their side right now, and they seem to have a lot of the issues that we're dealing with last month and early this month seem to have fallen by the wayside, and that's obviously a good thing. Like I was saying, throughout that entire stretch, I'd rather be dealing with those issues now at the beginning of the season than whenever we're making the push for the playoffs. So they seem to have, gotten their offense, under control. Power play again is slowly getting there. Again, is still not great. Looking at the percentage of what we're dealing with right now, it has been a minute since I've looked at where the Hurricanes power play is stacking up, and we will look at that right now just to see. Obviously, it's going to be a little low down, but it has, still in those low to mid 20s at 27th in the NHL, now at 17.2%. It has fallen a little bit. It was at 18 the last time I looked, but it slowly but surely it's getting there, but it's still not great, and that's still this is one thing that they need to work on. And getting into this game against Detroit, this should be a game where the Hurricanes penalty kill. Detroit's power play is 21st in the NHL at 21.4%, and their penalty kill is they're neck and neck. Detroit is 14th, Carolina is 15th at 79.5 and 79.3% respectively. So penalty kill, pretty evenly matched in terms of statistics, at least. But the Hurricanes power play, they need to. That is one thing that needs to step up in this game, especially with their penalty kill being so evenly matched. You're going, you know, that's going to be a battle you have to win. And, we'll see how things go tonight. But, like I said, the Hurricanes have momentum on their side. Right now you have multiple guys on some streaks. Right now, Burns is on a 4-game assist streak. Brady Shea, 3-game point streak. Jordan Stahl is on a 2-game goal streak, having goals in back-to-back games, and Statsny having points in back-to-back games. And like I said, it's a team game. You look at that, Burns is a guy you expect to rack up assists and points. Brady Shea, also a guy, not as many as Burns, but a guy you expect him to be showing up on the score sheet. And then Stahl and Statsny, not necessarily guys you're expecting to see on the score sheet every night, and it's up and down the lineup. And that is what the Hurricanes need right now. And like I said, they also need that power play to show up tonight as well. And when I was looking into the rosters and whatnot and what we can expect, one thing I did notice, something I was unsure on of whether or not when Frederick Anderson comes back, can the Hurricanes roll with 3 goalies? I was a bit unsure, and it looks like they can. Detroit is doing exactly that. They got 3 goalies, and I probably expect Hurricanes to do the same whenever Frederick Anderson comes back. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. And for whenever he does come back, no timetable on when that will be. He's skating, but no telling when he will actually be back. But, we do have to dive into the keys to the game time. I've already touched on a couple with the power play needing to show up and continue to show some improvement, even if it is slight, and also playing that full team game. And we will dive into the rest of the keys to the game, as well as further elaborating on those right after this. Now, folks, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for your sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and the World Cup. They've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head over to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, folks, it's time to dive back into the keys to the game tonight against Detroit. Again, this is the last game of a road stretch, 6-game road stretch. And, typically, you're pretty tired, at that junction, and you know, I would expect that to still play a factor in this game. Of this is the sixth road game in a row, and the games have been spaced out a bit, so you're able to get some more rest than typically would. And I do think that is one thing that works in the Hurricanes' favor is being able to get the rest, but it's still like, oh, another road game. Okay, I gotta get on a plane again and go play this game here. That wears and tears on you, even if you do have a few days in between. So that is something that's going to play a factor in this game, I feel, and that is something that the Hurricanes need to shut down pretty quick. Of drink their coffee, their energy drink, whatever they need to do to like be ready to go, and have their dancing shoes on and be ready. Uh, and because like I said, they're likely going to be going 11-7 again tonight, and historically not great with that. But last game, let's look at that, and what the Hurricanes did well of again playing that full 60 minutes, playing a complete team game, guys stepping up, and it not just being, the top names, it's top names, depth guys, forwards, defensemen, your goalie's having a shutout. Yeah, everyone is firing on all cylinders, and that's what they need tonight. They need to be firing on all cylinders. Detroit is a team that they are better than they were in years past. They absolutely are, but they're still a team that the Hurricanes are supposed to beat. So, again, look at that last game against the Islanders, what you did right. Try to replicate that. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, guy that you're expecting big things out of. That's another guy you need to see have a good game again tonight, whether it's goal, some assist, whatever it may be, and even if it's not necessarily racking up points, which in his role you kind of want him to, but even if he's just playing a solid game in general of creating opportunities for other guys, whether it results in an assist or not, creating shots, making good defensive plays, and stuff like that. He's a guy that's what you're wanting from. He seems to be getting some momentum on his side. Let's see that continue. Paul Stastny, likely going to be top line again tonight if they're going 11-7. Let's see him continue to take advantage of his opportunity. He's a guy that folks have been critical a lot of as of late. I mentioned that in the previous episode. And let's get into this game tonight and see him continue to take this opportunity. For pro wrestling fans, grab the brass ring and do exactly that. And some other guys that I want to see games from that we haven't really heard from him a bit. Seth Jarvis. I wanna be hearing his name tonight. Whether it be on a goal, an assist, or just some good plays in general. I want to hear his name called. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot as of late, and you're not. It's not gonna happen, all the time. But he's a guy that you're expecting, you know, to hear his name, and we haven't been. Yeah, and also, going into this game being down so many guys, Andrei Svechnikov is a guy that I want to see really take control of this game, and just force his will upon the Red Wings, and real and take over, be a game changer that we know he can be. He's done it this season. And that's what I want to see from him. I want to see him be the guy out there tonight. And I am confident that all of these guys that I mentioned can do it. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together and getting it done. And I think that one thing the Hurricanes will have to do in this game is, again, show up and play the full 60. minutes. I've said it so many times this episode, and I've said it so many times this season. But I feel like if they're going to win this game and the next game, the game after that, they've got to play the full 60. You know, how they in that New York game where in the third period, they put their foot on the gas more and scored 2 goals in that period. That right there is what I'm talking about of what this team needs to do, because so often it has been third period rolls around and, you know, say they got that lead, they get a bit comfortable. Other team comes back. Look at the game up in Minnesota. They took their foot off the gas. Minnesota came back, forced overtime, won it in overtime. Let's not have stuff like that. Let's have more games like New York. Let's not have games like Minnesota. And I feel like if they can do that, play that full 60, keep their foot on the gas, play that full team game. These guys that I've mentioned, you know, step up to the plate, they're winning this game. I think it'll be interesting what the Red Wings do in terms of, you know, their goalie tonight. Who was it that has been getting all the starts as of late for them? Because it was Huso. Probably pronouncing that wrong, and I do apologize to him and his fans. Yeah, he's been getting all the starts as of late, but you know, do they go someone different? Same thing what I was talking about the other day, yesterday, about Peter Kochetkov. He's been the guy that's getting the starts as of late rather than Antti Ranta. Do you give him a break tonight? Do you go with Ranta? I think you need to go with Ranta at some point. You know, you don't want him sitting for too long. So I would, we'll talk about more, in the lineup. But yeah, I think, the Hurricanes make that switch tonight. And, you look at, their goalie situation there in Detroit. Ned hasn't had a good season, 2-4-2 on the season. Not I want to say a little over a 4 goals against average. Yeah, 0.880 save percentage. Not good. So he hasn't had a good season, but he knows the Hurricanes. Do you play him there? Because you remember, last year, whenever they were in Raleigh, he shut us out. He got a rhythm and he was playing out of his mind. But this season hasn't been that case. And then you look to other Hurricanes netminders, James Reimer especially. He always plays against us, and he always plays phenomenal. Do you go with that logic of that, or you're like, he hasn't been good, let's not play him, because the Hurricanes are a really good team, and it's a team that could easily take over on him and it just not be pretty? You can listen to Locked On Red Wings for that, and we'll have to wait and see what the Red Wings decide to do in between the pipes. You guys know I'm a Ned fan. I'd obviously like to see him play, but he hasn't had a good season, so I would 100% understand, if the Red Wings didn't play him tonight. But we're not speculating on who the Red Wings are going to be playing or not playing. That you can listen to Locked On Red Wings for that one. But we're going to talk about who you can expect to see on the ice for the Hurricanes tonight, right after this. All right, folks. Now it's time to talk about what you can expect from the lineup tonight for the Hurricanes. As of 11:37 a.m. here in Raleigh, haven't seen any sort of projected lineup. We'll obviously check again before we end the episode just to be sure. But in terms of the lineup tonight, we touched on Jesper Fast, him potentially playing in this game, but it's looking like that won't be the case. And, we're going to be going 11-7 again tonight. And in that regard, I would expect the same exact lineup that we saw on Saturday. And that was this lineup right here. We're going to dive through that just in case, you missed it. And Again, also, even if you did miss it, just a quick refresher. And so I honestly, if they go 11-7, I think it'll be identical. It'll be Jarvis, Stastny, Natchez, Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, Teravainen, Martinook, Stahl, Drury, Stepan, and Nazen. Obviously, if you do remember in that game, Nazen ended up slotting alongside Stahl and Martinook quite a bit and looked really good doing it. So, also, it wouldn't surprise me if they just bumped him up onto that line with them and just had Stepan and Drury there on that fourth line. That is one change that I could honestly expect to see if they roll 11-7 of just doing that, because Nason looked really good there with those guys in that game. And why not? Why not? He did good with it. Do it, you know? uh, and, on the defensive side of things, Slavin, Burns, Shea Pesci, DeHaan, and Chatfield, and then Lajoie slotting in there as the seventh. One thing I end up thinking about the fact that they're rolling 11-7, and they're playing Max Lajoie and not Dylan Coghlan, and that is saying a lot. I don't believe he'd been assigned to Chicago. I don't think he had been. I don't think he had. I don't I don't think he was assigned to Chicago for conditioning on December 7th. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I that totally slipped past me of him getting assigned to Chicago, but it also says a lot of that you know it just won't going well for him, and that they called Lajoie up, for this instead of Coghlan. Says a lot. I wouldn't expect him to be. I wouldn't expect to see him in a Hurricanes uniform much, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And in terms of goalie tonight, like I said already, I would expect Antti Ranta. As much as I would love to see Kochetkov on one side, Ned on the other, as much as I would love to see that, I don't see that happening. It'd be very cool, especially for fans of them. Uh, but I'm not expecting that. I think Auntie Ranta, he's sat for a while now. I think it's time that he is the one back in between the pipes for the Hurricanes. And I think this is a good game to do it. It's not a crazy game. It's not like you're going against, Tampa Bay or Edmonton or, one of or Boston or anything like that. I mean, Auntie Ranta could obviously handle it. But, it's after having sat for several games now, it's a good game to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, it's be a little challenging, but it won't be you're playing against a team that could possibly win the Stanley Cup. No offense to Detroit, but you know, it's a good game to get back into the swing of things for him. And I would fully expect to see Antti Ranta in between the pipes tonight. But like I said, with Anaheim, with New York, you can't go wrong with Piotr. He's been so good as of late. He's been so hot and doing so well. You can't go wrong with him. If that is what they decide to do. Yeah, it's not like you're making a bad decision and risking the game and the team by starting him. Oh, you're not. He's playing phenomenal. So they'll be fine if they start Piotr. But I think from a logistical standpoint, Auntie Ranta has sat for so long, and Rod doesn't like guys sitting for super long periods of time. I would say just go ahead and play Auntie Ranta tonight. But ultimately, we'll just have to wait and see. When I was checking to see where Coghlan was, a lineup, still a projected lineup, had still not been announced for tonight's game. So we'll see what happens. Again, I would expect pretty much near identical to what we saw against New York, with the two exceptions being potentially Nazen just slotting up onto the third line with Stahl and Martinook, since he did so well in that game against New York there, and Antti Ranta getting the start over Piotr. That really being it. And if they do all that, if they hit those keys to the game that I mentioned of playing the full 60, not taking the foot off the gas, playing a team game, all those names showing up at power play as well. And then those guys that I mentioned stepping up, Svetch taking over the game, Jarvis showing up, Kotniemi, Statsny grabbing brass ring. If they're able to do all that, this is another win for this team. And they're going to close out this road trip with a getting 11 of a possible 12 points. I fully expect them to do that. If they hit all that, it's going to be a fun game tonight. I know a lot of folks are, also enjoy following the Red Wings, because I know a lot of Caniacs are from that area and, they watch the Red Wings. I know a lot of Ned fans, watch the Red Wings because of him being there. So this is going to be a fun game for a lot of Caniacs, and I hope you enjoy the game tonight. It is at 7 o'clock on Bally Sports. So make sure you enjoy the game and you are following the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes. Myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96, despite me not having access to that account right now because I cannot get logged back into it. But make sure you follow it anyway, and subscribe to the show on YouTube. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow when we recap this game against the Detroit Red Wings.